This is SWR episode 2. It is coming in a little bit late, but maybe that's because somebody decided to sleep a little bit too much at 4 p.m. Call Lucas. Here I'm with Douglas, and I'm also with Jeff. They will be my co-hosts today. We have a couple topics for today. We're first going to obviously talk about the NFL playoffs as we have the Super Bowl coming up. So what's your take on that, Jeff?
I think it's going to be a great game. We got a little local flavor with a couple Cleveland Heights boys, so it's kind of nice to see a Northeast Ohio representative. And really not sure who to go with, but I think it's going to be a very close game. Somehow, some way, Eagles pull it out at the end.
So you're taking the Eagles.
Well, I think the Eagles are going to pull it out.
Well, who are you taking?
Well, to be honest, I wish I had a third team to choose from on this one. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it could end up being a high-scoring game. If Mahomes if he's healthy and he can pull off a good, solid performance, I'm going to give the edge to the Chiefs just with the experience that they have. Eagles have experience as well, but I just think that the loss last year that the Chiefs had, I think left a bad taste in their mouth, and I think they've been gunning for this all year. And I just think that they're ready to go this time. So I think I'm going to go with the Chiefs in a high-scoring shootout.
And, it's hard for me to make a choice because I do think the Eagles are going to win, but also I don't know what team to choose that I'm going to be rooting for because personally, the Eagles just won. Then also the Chiefs just won. So they both just won. And I don't like Patrick Mahomes because he's good. And I wish he was on the Browns, but, So I think I'm going to probably be rooting for the Eagles just because fantasy football biased. Because I had a couple of the Eagles players on my team. So I think I'm going to go there. But I don't agree with you about you thinking the Chiefs are going to win. I mean, they only have Travis Kelce and then Patty. I think
if you look at the talent across the board, certainly both teams at this point, to get this far, you have to have the talent, right? So both teams are talented. Certainly the Eagles have the momentum. They've been the talk of town all season. They've certainly, I would say, they're certainly the odds-on favorite to win. But I just think that the Chiefs are going to rise up to the occasion. And I think that, Patrick Mahomes can spread the ball around. Certainly they've had some injuries. We'll see where they all shake out in terms of how the receivers are coming into the game. But they seem to make do with what they have, and he's a guy that can improvise and make things happen. And I just think it's gonna be a high-scoring game, and I'm just gonna go with the Chiefs on this one. Just more of a gut.
well, that can be your opinion, but I think you're stupid. But I just think they got, Dalen Hurts. I mean, they got Gallus Gogurt, and they got tons of easy defensive players that can always, stick up for the big guns. And I just think they have a lot of young talent that's really kind of sprout up in this last couple of years.
The Eagles' defense has been playing very well. No question about that. And, don't get me wrong. The Chiefs have got their hands full. There's no question about that. But they are the AFC champions. They're there for a reason. And, I'm just hoping for a good game. We'll see what happens.
And I would tell you, as much talent as Philly's defense has, who's the best quarterback they've beaten all year?
Oh, yeah,
They haven't faced a guy with Mahomes' talent. Obviously, the ankle is going to be a little bit, a question mark going into the game. But as far as pure talent, Dak Prescott's the best quarterback they've beaten?
Yeah.
And we know how good Dak is.
Right.
We can do that.
Okay. We're back from our short commercial break from McDonald's. Just remember to get your footlongs from McDonald's.
Subway?
Yeah.
Subway, I get my McNuggets at Subway now?
Yes.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Good to know.
Just to make sure.
Now you have to remember, This is the guy that also wanted to order us Chick-fil-A and came back with McDonald's.
That's
man.
true.
So,
Yeah,
actually,
so-
he gets his fast
I
food.
get my fast food mixed up, and
all the time.
I had the car on autopilot when I just went into McDonald's. I thought it was Sunday, and Chick-fil-A's always closed on Sunday.
I would like to get your guys' opinion on whether or not you think Mahomes is a better quarterback with his injury in terms of playing more as a pocket passer versus his normal game of scrambling more and throwing on the run. There's an argument to be made that he actually played better because he had to stay in the pocket more, step up, make actually throws, which we know he has the arm to do. So I'd just like to get your opinion on whether or not you thought he actually plays better when he's more limited and has to actually play out of the pocket more versus natural instinct of having to scramble and throw on the run.
Great question. I think Mahomes is so easy to look at his body work and just see that he improvises. He's all over the place. It's going to be interesting against Philly with their defense line knowing, hey, if he's in the pocket, they know where to meet, where he's at, and they might not have to spy on him. They might be able to drop a guy into coverage based on his mobility, and if they can get to him with 4, that's an interesting point. But I definitely think no matter what, he's getting out of that pocket.
Yeah.
He's had 2 weeks to rest. The adrenaline will kick in.
Well, I did think it was interesting. I did think that looking back, I thought the Bengals made a mistake by just not pressuring him more, especially as limited as he was on that ankle 2 weeks ago. That if they would have brought a little bit more pressure, and I know that's not the Bengal style. They've been sitting back all year and it's worked for them. But I thought in that particular case, with him being injured, that they would have brought the pressure and heat on him a little bit more 2 weeks ago, and might have been a different outcome. But they decided not to, and came down to the last couple plays of the game. But I was just shocked that they didn't. So I wouldn't be surprised if Philly brings more heat on them than what the Bengals did.
Yep, I would agree with that.
We also have some great news coming in for the Browns. It is projected that tonight, as we are recording this, which is Thursday, Joe Thomas will be elected into the Hall of Fame. I think that is a well-deserved role, as he missed rarely any games whatsoever. I mean, I wouldn't see why there is no point to not have him in the Hall of Fame.
First ballot Hall of Famer, without a doubt. 10,000 plus plays, I believe, without missing a snap. The only bad thing is just he's associated with futility as a team. It's you look back and you're like, you just wasted 10 years of a all-time great at left tackle. You never had, going into every season, no matter how bad they were, you never had to worry about your quarterback getting crushed. Now, you may not know who the hell the quarterback's going to be, but whoever it was, you knew that he wasn't going to get crushed on the blind side. Just a wasted talent.
I mean, in order to really put up with Cleveland for that many years, to not leave, that's got to take some courage. I mean,
I'm sure there's many times he
Joe
doubted.
Thomas. I mean, I think
Hey, that's where I wanna
obviously
be, but
into the finals selection here process, I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. One of my favorite stories I remember just listening to him play over the years was, it must have been 6-7 years into his career, that he had gone down with an injury during the middle of the third quarter of a game, and they sent a replacement lineman into the huddle to relieve him. And Joe got up from his injury, went back into the huddle, and this rookie, I think it was at the time, came into the huddle and said, "Joe, you're out." And Joe looked at him and said, "I'm not. Get the hell back to the sidelines. I'm not going anywhere." So, I mean, that was just the mentality that he brought to the table every day, and it took him blowing out. Finally blowing out his. I think it was his knee,
shoulder,
his elbow.
Yeah,
it was elbow where they just physically couldn't do it anymore. That's what it took for him to leave the field. So
that's
well deserved first ballot guy.
It's a streak that'll probably never be broken.
how many snaps in a row he did without, because I don't think he ever missed a game.
He didn't miss a game, and he never missed a
game.
snap.
Did miss a snap until he had.
I think it was 12,362, I believe.
It was in close, maybe 10,000 and change, but
I know it was for
definitely
sure in
more
the
than-
12s.
Yep.
So, turning back sports here, we're to go to the Cavs record. So the Cavs record, they've pulled it back a little bit. They are now fourth in the East. They are now 35-22. So they're looking a lot better in terms of record per se. And I think they have a good chance to make it far.
Yeah, no, I would just say, they've won. I think they've won 4 in a row. The team that they were battling for that 4th spot was the Nets. Obviously, we all know what's happened with them blowing up the team. So I think they've now created some space there between them and I think the Heat are below them. So I think the 4th spot, if they can continue playing with the way they're playing, I think they should come in those top 4 spots. We'll see. I'm not sure who's ahead of them exactly in terms of outside of Boston and Milwaukee. Who's the third?
Philly.
76ers.
Yeah, 76ers. So we'll see if they can move up any higher, but certainly they're playing well right now. Obviously, at the trade deadline, don't make a move, so they must feel pretty good about where they're at on the roster wise. And hey, if they can go into this, the young team go into this final part of the season and into the playoffs being healthy, be exciting to see what they can do.
Okay, and now I'm going to bring up. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, just kind of piggybacking on the record, very young team. There's been a little bit of a bump on the road over the past couple weeks, but I think they're learning from it. This is all new for most of these guys. Garland's been in the league now his 4th year, I believe. Mobley's only played a year and a half of basketball, still very young, age-wise. They're learning to play together. Bickerstaff's also grown with his team. I think to Doug's point, they stay healthy. They're going to do some damage. These guys are learning. They're showing some fight, especially against Memphis the other day. That was a big win. I think the team rallied behind Mitchell in that little scuffle there along the baseline. But good things are in store for the Cavaliers. Excited to see how the rest of the season plays out.
For sure. And recently, just a couple days ago, LeBron James passed the all-time scoring record. And my question to you guys is, who's the best NBA player of all time? And does that change anything?
It's a great question. That's the debate. Is it Michael? Is it LeBron? Is it Bill Russell? Is it Kareem?
Is it Kobe?
Kobe. I think those are probably the 5 guys you have in that conversation. Larry Bird, Magic. Really kind of depends on the criteria. I mean, LeBron, to his credit, has had a remarkable career, obviously, all-time leading scorer. I don't think anybody 20-some years ago when he was coming out of St. Vincent St. Mary didn't have a very good outside shot. His ability to play all 5 positions. He hasn't won the titles like those other guys, but that's not a true indication of greatness. It's a team game, team sport, obviously. But you look at a man like LeBron, who's physical freak, can play all 5 positions. He's probably one of the only guys led the league in assists, shooting. Well, obviously, all-time leading scorer. I don't think anyone would have predicted that, as I mentioned earlier. He makes a strong argument. If he's not the best, he's set the bar awfully high. If there's someone better from a physical standpoint of being able to be a well-rounded basketball player from passing, rebounding, defense, and how he's improved his outside shooting has been tremendous over the last probably 10, 15 years.
Definitely.
I think I was just going to say I thought JB Bickerstaff said it well the other night when they asked him about it. He certainly had, in his opinion, was the best career over the time. I mean, the amount of pressure and the expectations were on this 18-year-old kid when he came out of high school. You put the chosen one on your back with a tattoo, and you got to live up to that your whole life. And he's done that. I mean, he has risen up. He's met expectations. He's stayed out of trouble. I mean, he's put together just an unbelievable career, and certainly in the ranks of, the Mount Rushmore of the best players of all time. Now, if you're asking me my opinion, I look at it sometimes a little bit differently. I would look at it as, if you were in a Game 7 of an NBA final and you have someone with the ball in their hand to take that final shot, would you want that to be LeBron James?
Yeah.
My answer is no.
Who would you rather
In that
have?
position, in that situation that I have subscribed, I would much rather have either Michael or Kobe to have the ball in their hands for
So
that
you're saying Kobe's the best player?
for that final shot. No, I'm saying in that situation, if you're asking me in a Game 7, who do I want to have the ball? You're down 1, you need a bucket. Who do you want to have the ball in their hand? I would pick Michael Jordan or Kobe over LeBron every time.
But then, so what's your answer? The best player of all time?
I think you can't compare generations.
No, I don't care. Pick one.
Okay. maybe I'm going to pick him because he was such a pain in my butt growing up, and in terms of beating us all the time. But I looked at Michael Jordan as a guy that we could never beat, and he was just sort of like the guy that I thought was the best ever. And so I guess in my mind, LeBron hasn't replaced Michael Jordan in my mind when it comes to that.
Yours?
I would have to agree with as much pain as he caused Cleveland sports fans as well as fans across the NBA. Cold-blooded killer. Wanted that ball. I mean, this is a guy who beat the hell out of, punched his teammates if he didn't like how they're practicing. Not condoning violence, but I think that shows you his personality. That he put the team on his back. He didn't care about being liked. It was all about winning. LeBron, I don't think would ever punch one of his teammates. LeBron wants to win, but he's going to go about it a little different way. But I mean, as far as being a cold-blooded killer, it's Michael Jordan.
I'm going to take a different side here. Now, obviously, I wasn't alive to see, Jordan play. But I'm also going to be biased because of Cleveland's side. But I'm going to say LeBron. And that's just, I'm more of a statistics guy. I can see why you would pick either way. But in terms of statistically speaking, I mean, you have no better other person. I mean, he's about to be all leader in terms of assists sooner or later, and he's still playing at 38 years old.
No question.
I mean, how many more years he's gonna play?
No, I don't think you can argue that he's taking care of his body better than Michael. I mean, Kobe played until he was about the same age as LeBron now, I think, right? 38, 39?
Yeah.
Is about when
Then Kobe died.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, he played and he retired.
retired.
But I think he played to 38 or 39. So I do think that's part of just generation, as as the sports science and as the trainers have improved and people taking care of their bodies more. Yep. And I think Michael Jordan was a different type of player. This is the kind of guy that would go out and drink and smoke cigars and bet and play, gamble,
Like
and it was just
cars,
a different era, different generation.
Yep.
So I definitely think LeBron has had certainly longevity-wise and statistically-wise, I cannot argue your question.
Okay, so somewhat the same offer. Most dominant player at any sport of all time. At any sport. We're talking...
In our lifetimes that we've seen?
No, ever. We're talking this. No one is even close to how good they were.
So that throws a little monkey wrench in there saying it's close, because you can just kind of run down, golf. Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus. Kind of the same argument.
You can see that hand in hand.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I don't think there's, in my personal opinion, there is no clear-cut player of all time that's head and shoulders above the second person.
What
So let's just take the argument. Let's just say we're in consensus.
What about Serena Williams?
As far as women,
Yeah.
Martina Navratilova is right there with her. Again, different eras.
Yeah.
I don't know the number of major titles they've won, but there's not a huge gap between the two of them.
Okay.
Same thing with Michael Jordan and LeBron. You could say LeBron or
Yeah.
Michael, but they're in the same neighborhood. Same
Now
zip
here's
code.
the thing.
Okay.
If LeBron plays, I don't know, let's say 6 more seasons. Let's say he plays 6 more seasons and consistently still gets 20, 30 points a game. Do you think he's better?
I don't think that would make a difference for me. I don't think.
What if he wins 2 more titles?
Not really. See, I think the title argument goes out the window. I think you have to give Michael credit. He stayed with the same team, didn't join up with other superstars. He brought the Now, granted, Chicago's different than Cleveland.
Yeah.
Grant you that.
No one wants to live in Cleveland.
No, different era, also with salary cap. But I don't think even if LeBron wins 2 or 3
Then
more.
again, LeBron did come into the making when there was already a super team, the Golden State Warriors. So I think also part of the reason why he didn't have as many championships as Jordan had is because he was playing against a super team, one of the best super teams we've ever seen of the Golden State Warriors.
No, that's true. He had a different level of competition, but don't discount the bad boys of Detroit. Those guys weren't chump change. When you talk about Hall of Famers, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Vinnie Johnson, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, John Sally.
Yeah.
I mean, that team would whip Golden State.
Yeah.
Obviously different eras, but those guys were organic super team.
So when talking about best player, I mean, no one's even compared. I'm pure talent-wise. I'm going to say Jim Brown. I mean, every single season he was all leader in rushing yards. Every single season he was an MVP in terms of, not MVP, but in terms of like most valuable running back. And he played only 8 seasons. And the only reason why he left was not because of longevity, not because of that. No, he just wanted to go into an acting career.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the Browns weren't so happy about that. He only played till he was 29. I mean, there's many people who are still playing.
Yeah, Jim Brown, Barry Sims. I mean, he cut his career short. People talk about him all the time in that same vein in terms of those were decisions made by players in their prime that were arguably one of the best, if not the best all time of their position. So, and we haven't even talked about the other sport, soccer, in terms of the worldwide sport, in terms of did we just witness Lionel Messi is he one of the best of all time, not only in his sport, but of all sports, and in terms of his skills and ability and what he's done. So,
Another guy we've done touched on all time. To your point, Jim Brown, All-American in football, All-American lacrosse. There was a young man by the name of, I think, Vincent Bo Jackson. If injuries didn't derail his career, would have been a Hall of Fame running back. I mean, this guy played 2 sports and at the professional level, and was an all-star in baseball and an all-pro in football.
Yeah.
Bo knows. I'm probably best athlete in my lifetime, Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. Deion Sanders are probably in the same ballpark. He just didn't like to tackle anybody.
yeah, that's true. Now look what he's doing. We'll see what he does with the University of Colorado in terms of what he does there for that program. It's certainly got a lot of hype for him going there now and taking over that program. So we'll see if he can continue the success that he had at a lower level university in terms of if he's gets able to get the same type of recruits and the same type of transfers, and we'll see on the playing field what he can actually do for UC Boulder.
And, I can see what you're saying, but what's your opinion?
Are we going back to this again? The best athlete of all time?
We're still on that topic.
Yeah. Again, I think it's hard to compare sport to sport. You talk about Wayne Gretzky in hockey.
I don't care. Pick one. I know it's hard, but you got to pick one.
Yeah.
I was in a history class where I had to make a Venn diagram of saying who is on my leader, of who's most important to me, and who if I could save only 3 people, who could I save? Mm-hmm. And it was very hard because AIDS matters.
Yep.
So it was hard. So make the decision.
All right, I'll let Jeff answer it first.
No. You already did. You already did with Bo Jackson.
I just.
Come on, it's not that hard.
Not really. It actually is. It's actually very hard.
Look, your life doesn't depend on this.
So then I'm going to say Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. Okay, picked Michael Jordan. And what's your reason to that?
Again, just in terms of the number of championships, at the time he was just a new type of player that just we hadn't seen before in terms of what he brought to the court. You know what?
Hold up. I saw a player that might be better than Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps.
Tell another sport.
I mean,
in terms of being dominant
Michael
in
Phelps.
I mean,
no one was even close to him.
It's true.
Well, one thing you can, yes, he's got the most medals in Olympic history.
Yeah, no one was even close to him.
But I think you also have to probably go back, taking nothing away from him. You also got to look back at how many of those increased medal totals are the result of increased events in swimming.
Yeah.
How many medals has he won as part of relays or individual?
If you put him in his prime, butterfly, no one's beating him. No,
you can probably if you get granted like that and look at his best event, whether it be butterfly or freestyle, backstroke.
And you know what? I think I'm going to change my bet to him.
As the most dominant athlete?
Yeah, most dominant athlete. Because no one was even close to him. I mean, no one was even close.
Well, there's something said. And, you can write Jesse Owens, 1936. The impact that he had on track and field and the world dynamics at the time.
Yeah, but
going into Hitler's backyard saying, wait a minute, your white supremacy, Aryan nation, you can take that and put that where the sun doesn't shine. Jesse showed up as an old Cleveland, or I think an Ohio State grad, and just dominated the 1936 Olympics.
Okay. So I'm going to transition to trades that have happened. And I know there's a lot. So I'm going to scan over all of them. We're not going to analyze all of them. I'm just going to announce a
So we're
lot
going to
of
have to
them.
give them all our grades?
Yeah. How about that? We give them our
No.
grades. Okay, yeah.
Incomplete.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't...
No. So we just give it a grade. Okay, A to F. You don't have to give an explanation. Just give it a grade. Okay. We only expect explanations from the major players. Okay. Here we go. Pelicans acquire Josh Richardson, and the San Antonio Spurs get Devontae Graham and 4 second-round picks.
Give that an incomplete or a DC. Don't care.
No. Okay, no. Like, does he just have to get a D? Give it a D? You want to give it a D?
I don't even know who these guys are. I don't follow the NBA. All right.
Just give a letter.
We're giving it an F.
Give it an F.
Yeah, don't like it.
Okay, I'll give it a B. What are you giving it, Dad?
C.
Giving it a C. Okay. Next trade. Danny Green. Now, this one was actually a big one, though. Okay. Houston Rockets got Danny Green. Los Angeles Clippers got Eric Gordon. 3 second-round picks and right to swap with LAC. And the Memphis Grizzlies got Luke Kennard. I mean, Eric Gordon's a great player, so I'm going to give that one an A. I mean...
So Eric Gordon going to the Clippers, he's seen better days. I give that like a C. You have some named players, but I don't think that's going to make an impact on either one of those 3 teams.
Yeah.
The only thing interesting there is I had heard something today that Danny Green might then be they might be opting just to buy him out, and that there was talk that the Cavs might be interested in bringing him back. So I don't know if that is true or not, but that's just something that's interesting on that side of that trade.
And then we're going to go to this one right here. Lakers traded, they got Mo Bamba, the guy who we all know from the famous song Mo Bamba. And Orlando Magic got Patrick Beverley. In terms of the Magic, they completely scammed the Lakers. I mean, they got Patrick Beverley, who I think is a very good player, and I think he's still viable, for Mo Bamba, who's... I haven't heard of his name since the song came out. I mean, personally, I think that was a really good trade for the Magic.
Don't know much about Beverly's mindset. Is he going to want to be there in Orlando on a team that's rebuilding versus being in the media capital, the glamour of LA?
Yeah, you never know. Okay, then next trade happened is a 3-team deal. Sadie Bay, who averages 25 points, and he is going to the Atlanta Hawks. James Wiseman is going to the Pistons. Wiseman's a very good player. And the Golden State Warriors are getting Kevin Knox and 5 second-round picks. There's a lot of picks just shooting around, but I think the main ones you got to say is James Wiseman, So I'm going to give that one a B, There's a lot of versatility there. And then we're going to skip a couple picks here because a couple of these guys I've never even heard of. So, and that score a total of 1 point per game. So I think we're going to, skip a couple of those ones because I don't think really anyone else care about, a guy like that. But we're going to go to the more market trades. And last night, oh boy, did Woj ever sleep? I mean, Woj was up at 4 a.m., 2 a.m. He's been up since, I don't think he slept.
Yeah, well, he gets fed things. Not a big fan of the Woj bomb.
You're not a fan of Woj bomb?
No, he's overrated. He's a bully.
I would say who's more of a bully is Adam Scheffler.
He gets spoon-fed information too.
Yep.
I would say the best person in terms of at least spoon-fed, I would say Ian Rappaport. Yeah. Because Ian makes a lot of his news, and I feel like, because a lot of it says per Ian Rappaport, so he actually finds the news.
Yeah,
it's not just says
not
per source. I don't
like Woj or Scheffler.
Like,
the KD deal went down in the middle of the night last night. That's what we're all talking about. Right?
yeah,
That's
Kevin
what
Durant. Yeah, Phoenix Suns get Kevin Durant and T.J. Warren, and the Brooklyn Nets get Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 first-round picks, and a 2028 pick swap. I mean, that's a lot to give up. I mean,
for as much of a dumpster fire as the Nets are, you have to give them some credit for getting a lot out of both the Kyrie trade and the KD trade, as well as the Harden trade. I mean, they tried that experiment with those 3 big stars. Obviously,
why did that work?
Obviously, it didn't work. That's a different topic we can talk about. But in the meantime, the Nets have at least. I mean, obviously you're not happy if you're a Nets fan for this year, but they got some nice pieces back. They got some future draft capital back. They realized it wasn't work, decided to blow it up, and it sounds like, at least on paper, they got a decent haul back for the different trades.
I would agree with that. You keep if you kept Durant, you're basically gonna be a 6th or 7th or 8th seed. You'll make the playoffs. You're not gonna be in the lottery. You're just stuck there in the middle of the pack. You're going nowhere. To get that haul for a 35-year-old guy who, he's not gonna play for another couple weeks. I think he's injured currently.
Yeah.
Can be interesting.
I mean,
they gave up a lot. Phoenix obviously put their chips all on the center of the
Phoenix
table.
The Phoenix are chasing that championship this year.
Yeah, no, it's they're all in.
Because the West is wide open.
Well,
True.
Yeah.
The West is wide open.
NBA's all wide open.
They're probably
wide
the
open.
favorite now. I would agree with
They're
that.
100% the favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, they were almost the favorite before behind the Nuggets, and then now they're for sure the favorite.
Now, if you ask me why the Nets thing didn't work, my only 2 cents on that quickly is that Harden, I don't think was, the player that he was at his previous stops by the time he got to the Nets. I think he was just a little bit overrated by the time he got there. Kyrie, I don't think he played half the games that he was with the Nets.
Yeah,
Between injury, between his COVID sit out and his boycott and personal issues, I don't think the guy played literally half the games.
I think it's too many personalities. I think it's too many personalities. I think there was too many arguing going behind the books that people didn't take into shot. Like, we know, personally from experience, Kyrie Irving's a piece of shit when it comes to personality. I mean, he just wants all the eyes on him, and all the eyes weren't on him. So,
no, and it's interesting because he got Durant to come to Brooklyn, and then they basically the team fell apart. Too many egos. Worried about contracts.
And there's
James Harden was out
LeBron.
of shape as always. The Cavaliers, when Kyrie Irving's career is looked at, when it's finished, the Cavs are going to be fortunate that they got the best version of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, 100%.
His entire NBA career.
I mean,
Someday they'll retire his jersey unless he becomes a curmudgeon the rest of his life and just hates everybody. But Cleveland will embrace him for that shot. That'll always live in infamy.
I did think it was interesting that Kyrie took a shot at New Jersey, when he left after he got traded, and said that, I'm glad to be someplace that I'm wanted and all this. Now you have to remember that Kyrie had a player option for this previous year. He had asked to be traded. Nobody had stepped up and was willing to give him the money that he wants. So then he re-upped with the Nets. He decided to go back to the Nets on for that last year deal, because nobody else is going to pay him that much. And now here he is, after he gets traded, now asks for another trade request, gets shipped out, and now he's saying he's going to a place where he was wanted. Well, the guy didn't play half the games when he was with the Nets, so I don't want to hear his BS.
So, in terms of more trades, the Lakers, that was a blockbuster trade again. D'Angelo Russell goes to Los Angeles Lakers, so they're stepping up their game, and they might be somewhat of a favorite. They also got Malik Bailey and Jared Vanderbilt, and the Minnesota Timberwolves got Michael Cloney and Nicole Alexander Walker, and then they got 3 second-round picks, and then the Utah Jazz got Russell Westbrook, not going to try to pronounce that last name, Daniel Jones, and a 2027 first-round pick. I mean, that is a big trade. Russell Westbrook is definitely a big ask. Although, what I don't understand is the Utah Jazz, they have like 50. I think Rose calculated it. They have 15 first-round picks. I mean, they are just stacking up for their future. I mean,
It's smart. I mean, again, You're not going to have free agents coming to Utah. You have assets.
I don't know why they decided to get Russell Westbrook though. If they could have just gotten more picks.
Didn't he get traded? I thought he got traded on New Orleans. Russell
No,
Westbrook.
Utah Jazz get Russell Westbrook. I mean, I would have tried to get more picks.
Well, you dump some salary. You get guys whose contracts you probably were stuck with.
Maybe they're hoping they're gonna draft a bunch of guys and he could be the mentor.
He don't want to be. He's not the guy you want with the young
No?
talent. No, he's done. This is not Russell Westbrook from his Oklahoma City days with Kevin Durant.
I mean, he used to be great.
He used to.
Didn't he used to be on the Nets too?
He was on the Rockets, I believe.
I thought he was on the Nets.
He's a basketball nomad now.
Was he on the Nets?
He needs to retire.
Okay.
He's done. Washed
Yeah.
up.
And then in terms of the last trade that was a big boy trade, the Mavericks added Kyrie Irving, and they also added Farvick Morris, and the Brooklyn Nets got Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finley-Smith, a 2029 first-round pick, and a 2 second-round picks. I mean, personally, the Dallas Mavericks, that's actually a very good trade for the Dallas Mavericks. In terms of comparison to what they had to trade away to get Kevin Durant, I mean, they barely had to trade a lot for Kyrie Irving. Now, I do got to think that has something to do with him requesting for the trade.
I would say, what's the over and under on him asking for a trade from Dallas in a year or two? Now?
I mean,
Look at his history.
Well, this is it. He's on his last. I mean,
Yeah.
whether he'll even be back with them next season is a big question, right?
Yeah,
So,
he's looking to get it. He's looking for a long-term contract, and he's going to hope to sign it, and then he's going to demand a trade because it's not going to work out in Dallas.
yeah.
He's not going to. He's just not. It's not going to work out. I mean, Cleveland, he forced his way out. Boston, he forced his way out. Brooklyn, he forced his way out. I see a trend here. The guy's a cancer.
You know what he
Great
sounds
talent,
like?
It's a cancer.
He's kind of turning into Ben Simmons. Just a better
No.
Ben Simmons. I mean,
No,
Ben Simmons is even
LeBron
worse.
is. I mean, Kyrie's played pretty well over the last couple of months, but the question is, his contract's up. He's looking for a big contract. Dallas brought him in to try and make something happen this year. Question is whether he and Luka can play together. We'll see. They both need the ball a lot. They both like to have the ball in their hands to be the playmaker. So we'll see how that whole situation plays out. I mean, I think Dallas is trying to catch lightning in the bottle here and maybe make something happen this season and just see, the West is wide open. See if these two guys can gel and make something happen. But whether he's there after just this, this year is a big question in my mind.
So, who will come out of the East? Who's coming out of the East? In total. After all these trades, who's coming out of the East?
I think you're probably still looking at Boston being the favorite with Milwaukee being right up there. I think it probably comes down to those two, maybe Philadelphia, depending on how things shake out.
I think the Cavs make it, but personally,
If my guess, if Chris Middleton's back to healthy and can play at his level, I like the Bucks over the Celtics. And out west, and don't follow again that much. I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets.
who will come out of the West? That was the next question. I'm going to say West. I'm going to say the Suns now, as they acquired Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, certainly on paper, if the Suns can stay healthy and if Durant can get in there and gel with these guys, I think they've got a good shot.
And then we're going to skip-a-doodle-doo over to back to the NFL for a couple of different news that kind of spotted out. Sean Payton is now, I believe, the coach for the Denver Broncos. And they had to give up a first-round pick and a second-round pick as compensation. I mean, compensation is kind of a new thing. That used to not really be a thing. And now it's kind of become more of a thing in the NFL, which I do like the factor that, it's a thing. But, I mean, first and second round pick for a coach, I feel as if it's never worth it. I mean, it's a coach at the end of the day. I mean, how much more of a difference is it going to make?
Ask the people in New England with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yes, he had Tom Brady, but I think you got to give him the credit for developing a great team. I think in Cleveland we trade draft picks all the time. I mean, hell, we traded draft picks for Johnny Manziel,
Yeah.
Brady Quinn.
We tried.
I'd trade a bunch of those draft picks for a Bill Belichick type coach. I don't know about Sean Payton. I think he's going to have a tough time in Denver with their salary cap situation. And Russell Wilson, I think, past his prime. But
Yeah, Russell Wilson's washed.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why Denver did it. They got himself a proven coach versus going out and getting a coordinator guy or a retread.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, a lot of people had them projected Super Bowl favorites, and then they just kind of fell.
Yeah, they said that was going to be the toughest division in football.
I mean, I didn't really see why there was so much hype about them, and they got a lot of hype, and they completely failed it. I mean, and then talking about also football.
Hold on, let me chime in on the Denver situation. I mean, obviously he's a proven head coach. He's won a Super Bowl. I think they were in a position where they needed to bring someone in. I mean, they just made that big trade for Russell Wilson, which hasn't shown to be the greatest trade in the world. That they're on the clock with his contract, and they're stuck with it. So I think they figure they got to make it the best of what they can with that situation. But my issue is I don't even think he was their first choice. I think they were trying to get the DeMarco Ryans. Supposedly he was their number one choice. They had been interviewing and trying to work him until the last minute when he finally decided to go with the job down at Houston. So I really think that he was this Denver's second choice, and to give up that kind of draft capital for your second choice, I mean that makes it a little bit tougher. But again, I think they were in a tough position because I think their hands were sort of tied now that they had gone all in on the Russell Wilson trade. They need to try and win now, and the way you're going to do that is with a veteran coach like that.
And I can totally see what you're saying in terms of that space. And then talking about more news, Tom Brady. He's finally out. Finally. We're finally out of his misery. I mean.
Should have retired last year.
Too many years with this man. He's been the grandpa of the NFL.
Very true. He should have retired after they won the Super Bowl, rode off in the sunset at the top.
I don't know why he didn't.
Ego.
Yeah.
Ego and just, I mean, you got to give the guy credit for loving the sport, but at some point, it's better to go out a year too early than a year too late.
I mean, but do you think he's actually retired?
I think he's done.
Yeah,
I can tell. And physically, you could see it this year. Like last year, I don't think you could see it as much. I think this past year, you saw the difference. Physically, just even not only how he played physically, but just physically
great though.
Physically, how he looked. He looked different. He lost weight. He looked thinner.
He would throw the ball though.
I can still throw the pill for sure. I just think you started to see the skills drop off a little bit, and certainly.
I mean, man played an extra year just to get divorced with his wife. I mean, am I wrong?
No, and you got to wonder, mentally, is he still hungry? He could say he is, but I think, does he want to put the commitment in? And I think this is last year, obviously, he had some well-documented personal issues with going on with the family there.
I mean,
here's a guy who lived, breathed, it was football 24/7, and he didn't give that commitment last year, and there's probably reasons why. I mean, he's been doing it for 20-some years.
Here's the thing, though. If he didn't have a family, how many more years do you think he would play?
I don't think he'd play anymore.
You don't think he could play anymore?
I think he knows he's done. Well, I think probably also his family probably kept him.
No, but if he didn't have the family,
I don't think if he was like a single guy his entire life, he probably would have been out of the league years ago.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean the family's going to keep you grounded. You're not going to be out carousing, partying. You're just living a clean lifestyle. He's focused.
Yeah.
My guess is he probably would have been retired 4, 5, 6 years ago without a family.
Is he the GOAT?
As far as quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Again, going back to the titles, you can't argue how much he's won. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to see some great quarterbacks play. John Elway, hate him, what he did to the Cleveland Browns, but he's a great quarterback. Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I think a lot of quarterbacks that were, if they were in New England or on the Patriots, would have won just as many titles as him.
Yeah,
it's hard to argue. I mean, as much as I sport hate him, right? In terms, I don't hate Tom Brady the person. I sport hate him just because of the success he had against the Browns and the rest of the AFC, and just the fact that he was from playing for the Patriots and Boston and just all that nonsense. I sport hated him for sure, but it's certainly hard to argue. As much as I'd like to argue, take the other side of that argument that he's not the best quarterback of all time, it's hard to make an argument against that case. Do I think he's the best football player of all time?
Not even close.
But I think he's certainly, you can make I don't even know if it's an argument at this point in terms of the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, at this point, I I don't like the fact that someone who was in Deflategate is really a whole winner, but, nothing really can do at this point. I mean, that's what you kind of get for playing till you're 48. I mean,
I think he had.
that means you would still be playing.
He had one championship handed to him just because of Pete Carroll's decision to throw the ball down the 2-yard line. But hey, that's football. That happens.
Atlanta choking away.
You can't blame.
Atlanta choking too.
Yeah, I mean, but you can.
Let's see here.
But on the flip side, you could say
Tuckwell 3.
Well, David Tyree doesn't catch a football off the side of his helmet.
4. Des caught it, right? Oh no, was that not with the?
Not against the Giants.
So we have 3 right there.
But no, you can't.
You can't hold that against him.
Yeah, I know.
Great player, not one of the greatest of all time. But you could argue the greatest quarterback. But some of these people who say he's the greatest football player of all time, that's an insult to the guys who are in the trenches tackling people all day long.
100%.
Or,
I mean, he sat back and threw the ball. I mean,
slung the rock around.
I mean, he played till his 48. He can. Does he look 45?
And he barely got touched. I mean,
he barely got touched
between nowadays and the old days.
I mean, if you look at it, the reason why he was able to play so long was because he never really got hit. I mean, if you look at Tua Tagovailoa, he might not even play anymore because he's getting hit so many times in the head. I mean, the reason for football is that it's a dangerous sport with concussions, and he was never touched.
Well, he blew out his knee in the first game of the year in his young.
Yeah, but did he ever get a concussion? Did he ever
I'm
get
sure
a
he's
concussion?
had a concussion somewhere along the line, but I mean, he's been very fortunate. Again, it's
He's
genetics.
like a LeBron. He's like a LeBron.
Exactly.
He kept himself healthy.
He's had one. I think he probably missed one.
LeBron was really never injured, right?
No.
Was LeBron ever injured?
I don't think he's ever missed more than. I don't think he's ever missed less than. He's never played more than half. He's always played more than half, at least half a season. I bet you he's probably played. If you exclude the load management, he's probably played at least 60 games every year.
Yeah.
And if he hasn't, it's maybe 1 out of 20 that he didn't, and it was probably close to that.
Yeah. I mean,
there's luck involved, obviously, but genetics. I mean, Tom Brady took care of his body. He was in great shape to be able to met the demands of the position.
And I think that's gonna end it for the SWR episode 2.0. See you guys later.